Hi, it's Jen again. Um, Today I thought I would talk a little bit about how I feel like motherhood has influenced my storytelling and aspects of this game and the development of the characters' stories. I feel like there's a lot of more autobiographical kind of stories out there to like represent you know certain minorities or certain groups, to try to give a voice to people who might be normally underrepresented in a lot of media. And I think that's good for awareness. It's letting other people kind of know firsthand about experiences from people whom they may not have heard those types of stories so candidly, and may help them to empathize with some of like maybe their struggles that aren't normally shared. However, I feel like when it comes to actually writing for people who may be struggling through some type of trauma or depression or just heavy and hard times. I'm not gonna lie, I had some pretty heavy and hard times in the early years, especially with motherhood. But I didn't want to make a game about that because, much like some of the issues that I struggled with when I was young and kind of stemmed from my adoption, I wouldn't have been interested in watching or stories or playing games about adoption like directly, because part of the reason why I was so interested in like reading and playing games was to escape from that sort of stuff. So I think there's ways to make a relatable story without having to have the themes be so blunt and so in your face. And I think that fantasy is a great vessel for providing escapism for people who may be struggling with certain issues, to explore those issues in a more safe space. It's removed from reality, so you can experience some of the themes, some of the feelings in a way that doesn't feel so personal, so in a way that's like opening like a wound. Instead of facing that wound, it's just kind of just brushing upon maybe some of the feelings you might be having without in a way that's more far removed, that you don't have to like relive or be immersed in whatever it is that's bringing you down or that you're struggling with. And I personally don't really find stories about like autobiographical kind of stories of struggle very like inspirational. I feel like it's almost like exploitative, that here is somebody's painful experiences, painful story, and then you have a bunch of people who are just kind of voyeuristically watching. Even people who are telling their own story on a very personal, very raw kind of way. It's almost a little bit self-exploitative. So, yeah, I kind of going off on a tangent with that. That's just my opinion. I've always been drawn to fantasy. I've always been drawn to the strength of characters overcoming adversities that are not like in any way real, like overcoming these grand epic battles and stories that don't directly translate to my everyday experience, but still give me a sense of like being able to overcome struggle, but one in a way that is not so literal, not so close to home to what I'm dealing with, that it provides me some type of escapism. It gives me relief from my everyday struggles. And so that's one of the reasons why I choose to have my story be in a fantasy setting. But what I was originally trying to say about motherhood and how it's helped shape my stories is not in such a literal way that now I'm writing all about, parent and childhood and motherhood stories. It's more that watching my son when he was a baby and a toddler and seeing him navigate the world and struggle and, just seeing his experiences and empathizing with him helped me understand my own childhood a little bit more. I think sometimes people can be kind of unreliable narrators in the sense that when I think back to my childhood, I immediately think of myself as a child through the eyes of an adult. So in my mind, I was always very complacent, and I was always very just mature for my age. But if I were to meet myself, and in a lot of ways my son had a lot of things in common with me when I was little, if I were to meet myself and see myself from an adult perspective, I would not consider this child to be overly mature for their age, or any of the things that I kind of think of myself being as a child. I would see a child who has a lot of life experiences still to learn. And I would see, their interactions with the world and imagine how that will shape them, their worldviews, and their develop them as a person as they grow up. So having a child and seeing that journey again from an adult's perspective gave me a new perspective on my own childhood and my own developments, and I think lent another aspect to my writing that I didn't have before I had my son. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate that one needs to have a child in order to have, to have an accurate memory of their childhood or account of their childhood. I'm merely saying that in having him for me personally, it gave me a new perspective. And I was able to draw into that perspective with my writing. It just gave me a more complete picture, being able to see it from another point in my life. And I don't think I could have written the story that I'm writing right now without having that experience. A little bit of history about Soul Union. I started this story back in, I want to say around 2000, or maybe a little bit earlier, but I didn't really have a whole lot of idea where I was going with it. I was very much, I was young, and I was just trying to draw cool characters and have a cool story. And eventually, the world started to flesh itself out, and the characters started to flesh itself out. But I didn't really have, anything in particular I was trying to say with it. I was just trying to make a fun, kind of escapist world, because that's what I like to read, and that's what I like to watch, was just things that I thought were just fun to kind of escape from my everyday struggles. And now going into this project, it's different than just kind of trying to make things that are cool or that I think other people will like, or that are just interesting. And it's become more of a way of working out some of the issues that I have, but not in a direct way. And I choose not to have it be a direct kind of autobiographical way of dealing with my issues, because I feel like it will have more universal appeal in that way. I feel like it will be able to maybe provide a little bit more of that kind of escapism relief, to have it be less literal and still be able to be relatable on some level. I feel like I'm kind of going all over the place with that, and if I sound like I'm trying to be obtuse or overly convoluted, I'm sorry. I just have a hard time expressing the ideas that I have in mind. The main conclusion I'm trying to convey is that a story by a mom can have her experiences and worldviews as a mom in it without it having to be a literal story about a mom. And I'm grateful for my son and my experience as a mother, even though it was, gonna be honest, difficult at times, and there were times that I was second guessing my decisions, but overall, I'm very grateful, and that is also part of why I'm making this game, is not only to just explore some of the issues that I've dealt with or I'm dealing with, and that I hope other people will be able to relate to in some way, but also it is to show some of my gratitude for the experiences that I've had. That's all I have to say for today. I know that I've been a little bit vague. I don't really have any concrete examples, because nothing I'm writing is like a direct metaphor for a specific thing in my life. It's all more just affected by, who I am and what I've experienced. And I hope that people will be able to view it through their own lens and interpret it in their own way. That is what I'm really hoping for, and I would love to hear these interpretations once I release the game, which is why I'm planning on releasing it for free. And I'm really excited about development right now. I'm working with my good friend with some of the music and sound design, and I hope to have some original tracks for a public release. So I will keep you guys updated, and I hope that you are all enjoying your own journeys of self-expression. As always, enjoy the process, and I'll see you later. Bye.
Alright, we got 10 minutes.